crisis feeling for Rotherham United.
Woods got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us. And it's back-to-back league wins. If you want to add the cup in there, it's 3 wins in a row, which feels like a long time since that happened. We have all that to go through over the next hour. Lots of intrigue, illness, goals, good performances. I suspect we'll have everything tonight, including Mick. How are you doing, Mick?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Very, very, very good. Thank you very much. John's back with us. How are you doing, John?
Very good. Thanks, Matt. As I was saying just earlier, I think I'm coming out with this bloody virus, so watch this space.
Much like John Hugel, John is fighting through it to be with you today. So thank you.
You'll get an hour out of me, I'm sure.
And Sam's back. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate.
Good to have you back with us. Yeah, a good game, good day yesterday. Not a good game because it wasn't pretty, but a good day. YouTube users with us says, good evening. One and all, it's looking like a team now. Miller66 says, evening, everybody. Another win with all sickness in the camp makes it even better with the bodies on the line onto Oakwell. Chris Tethers with us, as is Sarah Ogden, says, well deserved onto Barnsley. She says, Seth is also with us and said, hello. Hello, Seth. Paula Rhodes says, evening, back-to-back wins. Hope we can break the Barnsley curse, which is with us. Damien Cole was the guy, Damo, who won the shirt yesterday, predicting Sam Nombe for a third shot, which was the goal, which was a very good prediction. Darren Cook, Paul Chadwick, Bazza, loads of people with us tonight. Thank you very much as well. I also want to say thank you, everybody who has subscribed, by the way, because the numbers have shot up. We're less than 66. We are 66 currently away from 2,000 subscribers. Mixed plugs over the last couple of weeks have worked, so think of another one for end at show.
I didn't even know I'd done the last one, so until you reminded me.
Fair enough. Harry says, 4 unbeaten in all competitions. When was the last time that has happened, John? Let's start there. We'll go through this predicting the game in a minute, but everything's starting to click and look good, and there's a character build, and there's a bottle build in all these last 4 games. Let's not get carried away, but this feels like we're absolutely on the right path.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've been saying, haven't we, it was purely down to getting players back from illness. As soon as you get your players back, what happens? Performances pick up, competition picks up. So, that's the reason behind it. Obviously, fans have to remain patient, as I'm sure has been saying all along. There's going to be more bumps in road, unfortunately. We're going to have to ride with it. But, yeah, I mean, it's looking good. I mean, I'm really excited for what's to come, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's 4 really good performances. If you take away the first half against Oldham, Sam, which was fully half, 3 or 4 kids in there, it's 4 really good performances in a row. Not perfect, absolutely not perfect, but they're not sneaky wins. We've deserved 3 wins, and the Bradford one, you could argue, we deserved a 4th win on that one. So these aren't flukes. This isn't luck. There's been a kind of a plan and a pattern, everything in the last 4 games.
Who knew what happens when you let your team gel as well? Yeah. And we've played teams while they've been in form as well. And we can't even argue saying, I don't know, we've not played at Peterborough or someone like that who was struggling at the minute. We've played Northampton, who were on a bit of a run. And we've beat Leyton Orient, who, how many goals did they score in the last 3 games? About 15?
Something like that, yeah. Over 10,
we got a clean sheet against them. So it's no fluke. And then add on top of that, Bradford, who were at top of the league at the time. We got a point from there. So, yeah, it's not a fluke. It's just players needed time to gel. Who knew?
Exactly. And it takes us out of the relegation zone, Mick. I don't think any of us, I'll speak because I wasn't worried we'd go down anyway. And the reason I was so confident is because of exactly what happened yesterday. We won yesterday and we're like 15th or something stupid like that. If you win again, you're going to top half, and we've got a game in hand, which is Burton, who are really struggling. So everything just feels brighter. It feels lighter as well. We all feel a bit lighter as Rotherham fans, and I think now we're not in that relegation zone. And the future, the short-term future, looks pretty bright at the minute.
It does, and like you, the fact that we've been in relegation zone it doesn't concern me one little bit. If it were March, then it might be a bit different. You know what I mean? We've had a bad start to the season. I don't think anybody could argue that point. But I think we've said consistently on here exactly what Sam said. You know, they've got to get these players the time to gel, get working together as a team, and it will come, and it has come, or it is coming. I think probably a better way of describing it. It's not. We're not there by any stretch of the imagination. But
as bad as start's been, Mick, when you think about it, it'd probably put us 5 points further on than what we were. You know, that's pure bad luck we've had. You 5 points onto us, we're like 8th in table, and that's we a very average start. So
absolutely.
You know, once we do get these players up and running to 90%, 100%, you know, then like I say, I'm getting excited.
Well, we said that right from the start, didn't we? We said that before the season even started, when we look at the quality of the players that have been brought in, albeit very young, you know, the quality is there to see, and that doesn't go away. You know, it just needs time to work on it, and they've had time, and it's starting to bear some fruits.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Scott Kent adds in there, we've dropped 10 points from losing positions, which has hurt us. Yeah, if you take a bit of bottle, how many more points do we get from that? Should we have got from that? Should I say should? But yeah, we'll come on to the speaking. I want to we asked people to give us their headlines. If you were a newspaper editor, what would your headline be for the game yesterday? And I'll go with Nick Newsom's as centres, that Nimble Nombe takes the O's down, which I quite like. So thank you very much for that one. It's a good one. Yesterday, John, when the team news came out and Hugill started up on his own, you're thinking, oh, God, have we got injuries again? And then Denzel Hall drops out 10 minutes later, whatever it was, and you go, oh, my God, this is a disaster. 3 months injury for everybody. The good news is it's only illness. But at 2:30 yesterday, I suspect you were like the rest of us and thinking, oh, God, I felt like everything was getting better, and then it's kind of kicked back down again. Yeah,
I mean, I always get in ground early. I love to watch warm-up, boring as I am. And, you know, I thought, I've seen lads come out. I thought, where's Sheriff? Where's so-and-so? And I didn't realise there were any sickness in camp. And, you know, you sort of think, what's happened? Has something else happened in training or whatever, you know? And obviously, as it's unfolded, it's come out. But, you know, regarding yesterday, I could give 3 different answers to performance. I mean, having beaten Northampton, you know, we got his first away win. You'd probably think, you know, we've got to back it up. That's what all fans were saying. We've got to back it up. Well, we know that Leyton Orient's not going to come and lay down, so it's not going to be easy. But if you'd have offered us a scruffy 1-0 win before that game, most fans would have took it. And that's exactly what we got, a scruffy 1-0 win. You know, it's on positive side of me. After Northampton game, I thought we've got a week, you know, good training behind us. And we're going to see a bit of champagne football here. That was in my prediction on my score, Matt, what I gave you. And obviously, first half, it were a non-starter. There were no to talk about. It were boring. And then second half, we upped it a bit and we managed to get in front. And then, obviously, although I never really felt threatened with Orient, it was strange, even though they had like 60%, they had 12 corners. I never really felt that threatened, but you've got to give a lot of credit to, I mean, Zach Jules were my man at match. Rafferty close behind him, and Baptiste as well were absolutely outstanding. So then after game, post-match, you hear what's actually happened and you think, wow, what a result that were. You know, so absolutely delighted with 1-0, you know.
Absolutely. Paul Rhodes said we spoke to Jordan before the game and he looked shocking, but still had time for a chat. Sam, that first half was just a bad game of football, to be honest. I was surprised how bad they were as well. I was expecting something really positive from Leyton Orient, but they were. I think we edged it. If we start with kind of Jordan Hugill to start with, he played ill yesterday, and you could kind of tell that he was ill because he wasn't moving properly. But that's kind of the thing that us Rotherham fans, I'm sure other clubs, but particularly Rotherham fans say, right, well, you're not well, but he gave everything. It wasn't outstanding, but his effort levels were off the charts yesterday, Jordan Ewell. You can't praise him enough for his efforts yesterday.
You've got to love him, man. Yeah, like I said a few podcasts ago, he always makes himself available since we've had him. Yeah. I don't think he's ever been injured. Even when he's been treated badly, he's still stuck around and made himself available. And icing on cake was when he kicked their player's boot away. He tripped him up and then kicked his boot away. You just got to love him. Like he's just on a wind up. And I was shocked by them because they played, especially how many goals they've scored previously. We were trying to pass. We were trying to, make something of a game, and they were just dirtying it, just diving on floor constantly, just time wasting. And that didn't help the first half. I think if they didn't play like that, we would have probably progressed and maybe scored. But yeah, John Ewell is a legend. Give him a knighthood.
Yeah, he is, Mick, and we'll come into other players in a minute, but I think we should kind of start with Hugo because he wasn't the best player on pitch. There's nobody saying here he's man at match by any stretch of the means. But I think that kind of leads by example. We've talked in here about the impact that Jordan Hugo has as a person on the squad, and I think it's always been positive. And that just kind of emphasised it, yes. And this is not a dig at other players who didn't play, by the way, obviously. But the fact he's threw up in the morning, wherever it was, turned up and just run his blood to water for literally 90 minutes. You just literally couldn't have asked him any more than him yesterday. And he was a credit to himself and a credit to the club.
He's a frustrating footballer, isn't he? That's what he is. And you've got performances like yesterday where he was brilliant. He was brilliant. Like you said, you've all three of you have said it. He ran his blood to water. He was just everywhere. He would wind up. He was everything that you want from Jordan Hugo. And then other times he just kind of disappears and doesn't really impact games. But yesterday he did because he just grafted. And I think the key phrase that one of you used, I can't remember who used this. He led by example. He's a senior pro in a team of pretty young lads. And he showed them the way they should be playing with effort, with your heart on your sleeve. I wish he did it every game. Maybe he should be ill every game. I don't know.
My mate, straight after the game, my mate saw him in car park, more or less straight after the final whistle. And he went over with kids like, he says, "Can I have a selfie?" Like, and anyway, he says, what you doing? Like, you've got a wedding to go to or something? And he says, I've been badly. He says, I ain't slept all night. I've been up spewing. So even more so performance he put in. I mean, like Mick's just said, I mean, what he's brought to cause yesterday, and it's obviously rubbed off on other people, to put that extra yard in when things are not quite going for you. This is League One. This is what we're going to have to do, innit? You've got to, eke out results when you're not playing well. So it bodes well in that respect.
It does, and these four, particularly the last three games where we've won, Hugo's been massive in all three of them. He came off the bench on Oldham. It was really, really good off the bench against Northampton, and obviously really, really good yesterday. I don't think it's a coincidence that when Jordan Hugo plays well, the team plays well. I just don't. It's just not a coincidence at all for me. The problem is, like you said, getting that out of him for almost 46 games. It has been the problem in the past.
Well, you're not going to get that, are you? You're not going to get that from him anymore. He's at the back end of his career, and I think we talked last time on the podcast before on the preview of the Orient game that I think we all were of the consensus that coming off the bench might now be his role on a match day, or on game day. But the rest of the time, he's there as a leader. He's there as a to show these younger lads some confidence, give them some confidence, and show them what they're capable of, or help them to show what they're capable of. And by his performance yesterday, his attitude towards the game yesterday, it goes a long way to do that. So yeah, I've got a massive amount of respect for him. I really have, particularly the way he handled himself last season after the way we were treated. That really, for me, just shows the measure of him.
Quick question for you all. obviously he's in last year of his contract. Would you offer him another year? If you know what, be interesting to see what viewers were thinking. Oh, would you offer him just another year? Obviously on reduced money, but
100%.
bearing in mind, he's got to be about 33, hasn't he?
So I think he's 35 now.
He's 35.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you know, he is one of them, like I said a bit earlier in podcasts, he's one of them cult figures that could really be the cult man at Rotherham really wanted to. It's frustrating because he's got it in his locker. Sometimes he just don't deliver it for you, but you can't fault his effort.
I think the problem is...
Sorry, Sam. He's actually 33, not 35. Sorry, he is 33.
I think problem is Matt Amshaw probably knows this as well. There might be some games where he's not effective. Matt Amshaw probably know he's not going to be effective in it, depending on how the team's set up. But because of injuries, you've got no other option. You're going to have to stick him there anyway. So what I mean? So Nombe might be more suited if they've got like two big centre-backs he can run between them. I think that's the problem. Whereas when he's getting brought on as a sub, way more effective because they know he's going to make an impact. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, it depends between now and then. If the season ended tomorrow, I would be offering him a new deal, obviously significantly lower terms.
Yeah.
Is this a purple patch? Are we just saying this is a good 4 or 5 games? Well, that's the question for Hugo, and that's what he's got to show over the next however many months left of the season. But he's going on the right path for me. He's building, he's getting better, and I don't want to see him play 90 minutes anymore. I don't think that's right for him anymore.
No.
Needs must in it yesterday.
I think he will be totally happy in his football life at the minute with Rotherham United. I'm sure, as all players will be, you know, they'll love coming into work. And, you know, at 32, 33-year-old, what more do you want when you actually enjoy going to work? You know what I mean? So he'd probably be looking to get another year out of us, if I think, being honest.
Yeah, and the fans, you heard the fans break him off yesterday, singing his name. We'll see. They'll have mixed opinions. Rob Dixon, absolutely not. So does Phil. Paul Rhodes going the opposite way, saying absolutely. David Carroll and Phil saying a more mobile striker. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And to be fair, he could have scored as well. There were 2 chances during the first half. Martha, I'd have put a lot of money on Martha scoring that tomorrow. As soon as he realised what we were trying to do, I thought we were going to do it. And Hugo had a very, very similar opportunity where I think a fully fit Jordan Hugo, again, I think he scores that because he's shown in the past he's got that skill to do that. But not a great half, but we shaded the half. We shaded it, certainly with the chances at least.
Yeah, obviously, Hugo, he got that ball over the top and he was sort of clean through and you're thinking, just hit it. And then he's tried to pull it over the defender's shoulder and hit it with his left foot and moments gone. And then Martha has a similar sort of thing. If he hits it first time, there's a good chance it's a goal, but he's took that extra touch and chance has gone. But, I mean, Martha, personally, I think he's going to be more of an impact kind of player at this stage of his Rotherham United journey. But, he covers the ground so... he just flies past people. I've never seen a player just go past somebody so quickly. Usually that's a sign that he's playing below the level what he's capable of because he's got that extra yard of pace and probably League One is too easy for him, really. He's still settling into the club, isn't he? But, he's got some real tricks in his locker as well, anyway, where he flicks it round people and that. Real good player to have, in squad that can offer you so much different attributes,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also worth mentioning that he'd been in the country about 24 hours when he started as well. So again, for him to, he wasn't ill, but I imagine going through, as Mamshaw said, all them time zones, I imagine a bit of jet lag in there as well. Hell of a shift to put in 90 minutes when he wouldn't have been expecting that when he landed in England the day before. On the kind of setup again, Sam, the lineup was weird because you had suddenly Sean McWilliams at right wing back and Joe Powell at left wing back. It was interesting because Joe Powell finished really well left wing back last week. What was your take on Joe Powell as left wing back for 90 minutes, basically. It was, well, he set up either Martha or Hugo. He set one up, didn't he?
Hugo won the header back down to Powell, who lofted it over.
Yes.
Offensively, he's good. He's suited for it. Defensively, he kept on getting caught out. He was trying his best. He's not used to the position, so it's not his fault. But he did get caught out a few times. So on commentary to start with, they said Martha was the right wing back. So I was shocked when McWilliams was there. And Martha was more like down the middle, weren't he? It were odd. Because, like, we've seen the standards McWilliams, like the levels. I think he were a bit off it as well, in my opinion, anyway. I think he struggled a bit.
Yeah.
So I would have rather have had Martha on that side, even though he's not really right-sided player. He was still drifting over and beating him. Yeah.
Yeah. McWilliams weren't great with McWilliams. No. If it were filling in money. Again. At quarter to two, he thought he was starting midfield, and then Denzel pulls out, and he might have been ill for all we know as well.
He played there all pre-season, I suppose, didn't he? He played wing back pre-season, didn't he? So he's used to it.
He can certainly fill in. He could fill in there, definitely.
I mean, I'm a big Reece James fan. I think he's a good footballer. So it's going to be interesting, obviously, when James is fit. He's got a nice headache, I'm sure, because that midfield with Spence, Benson, Gore, Powell, where are you going to fit them all in? I mean, another thing is, the way I see League One games is it's more or less a coaching session for an hour. So both teams tend to cancel each other out. And then if you can bring big players off at bench on 60 minutes like we did at Northampton, you've got a good chance, because game gets stretched, fatigue comes in. You've got a good chance of winning games. So you can make 5 subs. So it's important that we've got big players on bench to come on that can make a massive difference to a game. So it's when they're all fit, I'm sure I might have 1 or 2 sleepless nights for right reasons, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that makes a change. There's not much else from the first half to talk about, to be honest. Let's move on to the second half. Sam Nombe comes on at half time for Josh Benson, which wasn't Josh Benson wasn't himself. When he came over in the side at Family where he didn't look right. He just looked a bit pale. So I'm putting down that to illness, but we'll see. Kind of if that's something going forward. But Sam Nombe comes on, Mick, and we'll talk about the goal in a minute. But similar to Northampton last week, as soon as Sam Nombe comes on, it just asks a completely different question to Orient defenders. And much like most defenders in League One, they didn't really have a clue how to deal with his runs in behind.
I think had we had a fully fit Sam Nombe, then we would have won that game 3 or 4-0 yesterday. Because their back 4, back 3, whatever it was, were just awful. They were awful. And we got in behind them time after time after time. And had he been on for 90 minutes, I think we would have created a lot more, particularly in that first half. He caused them so many problems. They were slow, ponderous, and he just got in behind almost every single time. So that's just bad luck as it is, with his injury and everything else. So, but yeah, it just causes defences something else to consider, in terms of his pace, in terms of his aggression, in terms of his ability to hold the ball up as well, which I think we don't really look at him as a type of player who will hold the ball up, do we? You expect your big strike to back to defence, back to goal, and hold the ball up. Sam Nombe does the same thing, just in a slightly different way. So he's crucial. He's crucial for the rest of this season for us, I think, until we can find somebody else who's just as mobile as him. Because it's his mobility, I think, more than anything else. His mobility and aggression, more than anything else, that cause defences in this division a problem. And you've got to bear in mind as well, Orient they're like a carbon copy of every other young manager's team, aren't they? They're fanny about with ball at back. They try and play it through thirds. They get it through midfield, and then they've no idea what to do with it. And it's virtually every team you play now who's got a younger manager, an up and coming manager. They all play it out front back and lovely passing and making sure everybody's available in midfield. And they get up front and they ain't got a clue what to do. They're ineffective. And what I would say is, you look at our side, we are playing some really, really good football. But we ain't playing it at back. We're playing it at business end. You know, those lovely one-touch moves are all in and around the opposition penalty area. And for me, that's a big difference. I might just be making that up. It might be just something that fits my narrative, if you like. But it feels to me that we're far more effective in that final third than a lot of other teams are.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that's right or not. And maybe it's something we'll keep an eye on. But
I think I'm sure deserves some credit again, because he's looked at it. Obviously, when we dropped in bottom 4, we were playing out at back at the beginning of the season, and I just, like Nick's just said, I don't know why League One teams play out at back, because it makes no sense whatsoever. Because even if they break the so-called press, they tend not to do anything with it. So now we've started launching ball long onto edge of their box, and then you start from there. So, you know, it just makes far more sense to do that. You know, you've got to leave that playing out at back to your Man Cities of this world. It's, you know, I know, like Mick said, young coaches, they look at coaching manual and think, all right, this is in at the minute, they're all playing out at back, so we'll play out at back. But Paul Warne would never have played out at back. And like I said, at the beginning of the season, we were knocking it. So a long 6-yard box to one at defender, then back to goalkeeper, then back again. I'm thinking, why? What, you know, it's pointless. So I think Amshaw's realised that, and we are sort of knocking it longer now, but still playing some damn good football in between.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Scott Kent says Wellens was fuming with the defenders, so they can't play football, so why even try? That's how Leighton Orient play. So why is Richie Wellens upset about it? That's how he sets the teams up. Anyway.
Scott's nailed it. We talked about this in Championship as well. You know, teams are not capable of doing it. You haven't got the players to do it.
No,
but you still do it.
Richie Wellens. That's the point. My point is, Richie Wellens has said that. He said he don't. Why is he asking his defenders to play that way?
He's basically just shooting himself in the foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? If you can't do it, don't do it. You told someone to do it. You're telling them to do it. Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Arthur nicked it off one of their feet, didn't he? And then they still carried on. So don't learn.
So the point is absolutely proved there that he's the one that is asking them to do this. And what you're doing is you're asking a bloke. It's like asking me to go and win Wimbledon. Well, yeah, all right, mate, I'll do it. You know what I mean? It's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
These footballers in Premiership, I mean, they're so comfortable with ball at the feet in tight situations. It's nothing to them. But no disrespect to League One players, they just haven't got that capacity to do it. So why put them under pressure to make them do something that's, in my opinion, pointless anyway?
I agree.
You know,
it's pointless because they're not effective when they get into final third. They don't play the same way.
No.
Whatever.
Anyway, let's move on. On to the goal though, John. And it's a fantastic goal. The game had very little quality, but that goal is quality 1, quality 2, and then for the finish, quality 3. What a ball from Rafi! What a run from Baptiste, and Nombe is doing what Nombe does.
Absolutely. I mean, Rafferty, you know, real deft little lob over, and Baptiste again, little deft header into Pather Nombe, and Nombe does what Nombe does. He finishes it. Like you said, absolutely brilliant goal. Probably one of the only bits of quality in game, really. But yeah, I mean, bit of credit to Baptiste as well, because you know he's made that mistake against Bradford. And I kept my eye on him, particularly yesterday, because he's a player that's come out of West Ham Academy. And like we've been saying, he's probably been there since he's 7-8 years old. they're used to, caressing the football and bringing it out. And he's tried to do that against Bradford. He's got caught a couple of times. And yesterday, he weren't scared to find Rose Ed when he needed to. And I thought that were a big difference. And then strength of character, he's got forward, he's put that header, banging past a Nombi, and Nombi's finished. So, great for Baptiste, that. Real confidence after that setback he had against Bradford,
Absolutely. And we had a few people in the instant reaction comments picking Baptiste as their man of the match. That's his best game for us. So
he's a kid as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's another kid, and his confidence could have been shot after making that mistake, and it's not. That run he made for the goal was just beautiful.
So
it was a work of art, that run.
Mate,
a work of footballing art.
Mate, this will make you laugh. Can you imagine him making that mistake under Evans?
Well, he won't be playing.
No,
and I think that's the issue, isn't it?
That's the difference, isn't it?
And that. Well, we say he won't be playing. He probably wouldn't have any choice but to play him. But he's playing with a smile on his face. I noticed yesterday he looked like he were happy. But you know what I mean? He just he's playing with a smile on his face, as a lot of them are, the ones that weren't throwing up. So,
yeah. But in terms of the goal, so it's obviously something we're working on, because that's almost a carbon copy of exactly the first goal a week ago. Even two of the players were exactly the same as the three that were involved last week. As well, it's just there is quality in this team, and particularly those two goals over the last 2 weeks have really shown that. There's something there, and it's really good to watch.
I said that yesterday. It literally was a carbon copy with two of the same people involved. We're just patient. I'm a bit annoyed where I had Rafferty as my third shot. I think he should have hit it first time, but Reece James on commentary, and he were expecting him to have a shot. He said he were prolific at this point, so he were going to have a shot straight away. But you can see the confidence, and like you were saying about Baptiste and Lenny, they needed that Bradford game. Otherwise, they're not going to learn. It's all right, everything going through sailing, not going to learn. And they'll know next time, well, just Rose Ed, kick it out. And Baptiste as well, I saw him bossing people about a bit more, especially when they were having throw-ins and corners. You saw him telling people. So he's obviously getting more confident in himself. Even though he's a lone player, don't really matter. We'll just develop him, and then Sheffield United will reap benefits. All right.
That's the Rotherham way. Just quickly in the comments before we move on to kind of post-goals thing, Wayne Hinsley in the comments says, found out this morning that Miller's fan Danny Brailsford passed away after a long-standing illness. Danny was heavily involved in the Nostalgia Society for many years. R.I.P. Danny. Yeah, absolutely. Sentiment shared from the podcast to Danny and on all his family and friends. Make on to post-goal. Richie Wellens said the goal woke them up. Are you having that they woke up, or we just kind of stepped back? Because we got deeper and deeper and deeper from that point onwards. And does the credit go to them, or should we be questioning that last, how we managed the game out? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know whether it was a goal that woke them up or the 5 substitutions, because they changed half the team, didn't they? Changed half 50% of their outfield players. So it's probably a combination of all three. They did wake up, and they started to press forward a little bit more. But in reality, other than that last-minute goalmouth scramble, they gave nothing. They offered nothing. They created nothing that I can recall. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Other than that goalmouth scramble towards the injury time, they didn't create anything. So I refer you back to my previous comment. They passed it about lovely. They moved it through thirds really well. They pushed us back. They got us sitting deep and did nothing. So they maybe it woke them up to get the ball up, get the ball up the pitch a little bit quicker, but it didn't wake them up to actually having any attempts on goal.
No.
So
no, they did a lot of passing in front of us. They never really hurt us.
No,
and 12 corners. And we defended, all of them pretty well. Yeah. Again, I thought Zach Jules were outstanding. Another shout out for Dawson as well, and he did pull a couple of good saves off towards end, but no, I never really felt threatened with him. They weren't that kind of side where you were thinking, bloody hell, they're gonna score any minute. I know they had a lot of corners, but it was fairly comfortable, I thought.
Arthur weren't even their corners. I think Arthur would go kicks.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like I said on post match yesterday, they might have had 12 corners. At least 6 of them were actually corners. The rest of them were. I mean, yeah.
We haven't mentioned ref. I mean,
Awful.
first sort of 15 minutes, Jesus. I mean, he wanted to be centre of attention, didn't he? You know, he did settle down a bit in second half, but he almost spoiled the game for first 15 minutes. He was that stop-start.
Yeah. As I said, I can't remember if instant reaction or we talked to Steve off camera yesterday, but he booked himself into a corner. He gave so many soft bookings away. He had no option but at half time to change the rules, essentially.
I'll be honest with you, if he could have done, I think he probably would have booked himself.
Probably would have done, yeah. Let us. I also want to pick up on this. We're going to come back to the game in a minute, but if there are any people that understand the laws of football, please put your hands up. Because there was a moment in the first half. We had a message from Craig on Discord. So I'll just read the message out and we'll go from there. So not sure. What is the rule regarding a player having to go for 30 seconds when the offending player gets booked? So I can't remember whoever the player was in the first half yesterday, but when receiving treatment, Woody and Hampshire were reminding the fourth official that the Orient player got booked, so our player shouldn't have to go off. The fourth official replied with some other stuff, saying that basically that's the law. But fair enough, isn't the rule that if a player gets booked, the injured player doesn't need to go off? What's all this timed rubbish? There's some times rubbish nonsense that impacts it. Adding to that, Mick, that their player 10 minutes earlier, there was no foul given. I think it was a head injury. Gets treatment, stays on the pitch.
He did give a foul.
Did he?
I think. Well, I don't know. I stand corrected. I don't know whether he did or not.
But what we're saying is two things happened that were exactly the same, resulted in two different outcomes. If any referees are in the comments, and I can't see Mike yet, but can you help me with this? Because I sat there and I sit with two girls that were going to my kids, and said, "What's happening there?" I said, "I literally don't understand the rules anymore. I didn't understand what was happening, Mick. It was just mad." Yeah,
I don't know whether he's just made a mistake with not making their player go off, but it was pointed out to him by I think it was Joe Rafferty who pointed it out to him that he should be going off. So I don't know. Because literally, like you said, 5-10 minutes later, he applied the rules completely differently to the same.
And still wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, and still wrong to the very same incident. So yeah, it was a bit bizarre. I don't know.
We James were fuming about it on commentary because their two players bashed heads together, like knocked each other out almost. Yeah. And he goes, they need to go off. As soon as it happened, he goes, they need to go off because Joe Powell had something in his eye. They took him off for 30 seconds. This is what he was saying. He's like, they took him off, and then them two hadn't gone off. And then one of our players, I don't know, Hugo or someone, had to come off straight after. And it's like, why has he had to come off again? But he was just doing it all the time, all the way through the match. It was like 1-0 for them. Oh, then we've got to come off straight away, even though we're defending a corner or whatever. Yeah, they were a shambles, weren't they?
Is it something to do if trainer comes on, he's got to go off, or if
the basic rules, as I understand it, is if the trainer comes on for any reason, you go off for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The only time that there is something that allows it is if you are fouled, you have to be treatment, and the fouling player gets booked, you can stay on. That's the rule as I understand it. But I don't know is the answer. I've got a referee currently messaging me, so I may get an answer for you in a few short seconds. But
yeah,
he did ruin that first half. Neither team could get anything going. It was stop-start. They didn't help it at all. They were really, really doing it really weird. Don't know.
Hugo will get ragged about as well all the time as well. Did you notice?
Yeah.
There were instances in second half where as far as I'm concerned, it were a nailed-on penalty. The ball came across on Hugo. The ball came across. Hugo was going for it at back post. Had his shirt pulled, couldn't get to it. Goal kick. And it was a nailed on shirt pull. But we're cracking down on that. So hopefully at some point.
Remember, we played Donny a couple of 3 years ago. We beat them 5-1. Yeah, I remember sitting with Scott Oldham, referee. I remember sitting with his dad, and he'd had a great game. And he's a joiner, kitchen fitter, Scott Oldham, at time. And I remember saying to his dad, I says, I think he's going to make grade. He's going to step up. But he's obviously, I don't know. He's obviously not going to make grade now. I mean, he's probably still in kitchens outside. But
yeah.
Anyway.
I missed from the referee. I'll censor it, and he says the explanation is that he's got no flipping idea. That was really helpful. Thank you very much, Wayne.
I can't believe I wouldn't swear like that on a text to you.
Very good.
We're done.
Yeah.
I would explain it.
Yeah, exactly. Back onto the game, though. John Davis says we were cream crackered, Sam. For the last 20 minutes, I know I just said we should be criticising players, but the last 20 minutes, they were just playing on instinct almost, those players, instinct and character. And again, we said about Hugo, for the last 20 minutes, they were a credit to themselves and the club. They literally threw their bodies on the line. I don't know who they were in that goal-mile scramble, but that was classic Rotherham United. Just throw your bodies on the line. You just trying to get it done. And you saw their reactions at full time. The players were absolutely buzzing, weren't they, when full time was so fantastic.
It were like Bolton last year, weren't it? It were like that. Rafferty were doing well. He were like getting back in and getting people organised. It was best defensive display, I think, this season. Yeah. And the ball come back out and Nombe just leaped like a salmon at it just to block it. And shout out to Raggett, who were on the line, weren't he? When it should have gone in twice. He stood there next to Dawson. They had no chance for them two. No chance.
I think Raggett deserves some credit because he's had his injury problems. He come on and he meant two great intercepted headers. When we're under Kosh a bit. But going on to Rafferty, I mean, he's proving to be a very good Rotherham United style player. Really gives it everything. And he's a proper good League One footballer, Joe Rafferty.
His deliveries are amazing as well.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
He's one of those players that in the classic captain style. If I were going into battle, I'd want Joe Rafferty stood by my side.
John Hugill for me.
John Hugill.
He'd be falling at side.
He'd be tripping him up there one way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Raggett deserves a mention as well, because John's just mentioned there, because he's been injured forever. It literally feels like forever that Sean Raggett's been injured, but it came on with 10 minutes left and he had one job. Your job is to go and attack every single ball that comes in the box. And he did really, really well. And I wonder if that's going to kind of be his job. You mentioned Jordan Hugill maybe being a bit part player. When on Tom Holmes and Lenny are fit, Raggett's a really, really good. And Harry Maguire does it a little bit for Manu. He started today, but Manu do it with him a little bit, where 20 minutes to go, chuck him on. He's a menace in the other box, but also defensively, it was massive for us in the last 10 minutes or whatever it were.
Yeah, I'm his biggest critic.
I've
been his biggest critic, Sean Raggett, and also, I don't mind admitting that. But in situations like right in that last 5 minutes, he would be my go-to man. He is the type of player that you want when you're under Kosh defensively, because he'll organise, he'll win headers, he'll cause problems, he'll break play up. That's what you want. If you're under the Kosh, that's what you want. If you've got teams running at you, playing them balls behind, you don't want him on pitch, which is for sort of 70, 80 minutes of the game. But at 1-0 up, with 10 minutes to go and they're peppering your goal, you want Sean Raggett in your defence, because that's the kind of player he is. I think you're right. I think he's certainly got a role to play. But hopefully we're not going to be in that position too many times. We needed a second goal yesterday and that would have absolutely killed that game. But we keep saying that. That's something we need to be working on. Winning by the odd goal is not doing us any good in terms of heart rate, stress,
Yeah.
and everything else.
I tell you another player who I thought stood up second half yesterday, Gore. I mean, to say he's only a small lad, he's not frightened to get stuck in. He's obviously off a council estate in Prestwich in Manchester, so he'll have had a few scuffles on the streets, I would imagine. And you can tell because he goes into tackle and he's not scared to push people about. But on other side, he's a silky footballer as well.
On ball, it's beautiful to watch. He's so good at ball.
Lovely player to watch. I mean, we're blessed, aren't we, in midfield? We're really blessed.
He got in there, number 15's head, big time, didn't he?
Yeah.
He absolutely did. He squared up to him. Well, I say squared up to him. He squared up to his chest.
Yeah.
Looking up. He absolutely got into his head. He pushed Gore. He then ran away from Gore and pushed Hugo. And then as Martha tried to break, he punched Martha in gut. He was absolutely livid. He absolutely wound him up to a T. Beautiful.
Did you see the state of that, though, when he pulled his shirt and he were holding his shoulder up floor, rolling around?
Yeah.
That rattled him, that. But I thought this. Paul Warne, he took on good human beings. And I think Marmshaw's gone for the same, but we have got like a nasty side to us.
Yeah.
I've noticed with like Hugo, Gore, Nombe as well yesterday. We're telling them to move ball back because they were trying to gain a few extra yards on a free kick, and he were telling him, we were like, go on, move along. So I think it's catching, which you do need, especially when they're pushing like that and diving and whatnot. You need players like that to stand up to them and not take it.
Yeah, I agree. Gore's got a red card in the way. I'd be amazed if he gets to the end of the season and gets sent off.
He's got one.
Lack of an edge. Chris Taylor says, man of the match, Spence came up to the lounge with Gore, McWilliams and Nombe also coming up, and they were buzzing. Let's touch on the sponsors, man of the match, John, and I think it's not far off a good shout. Keane Spence wasn't even meant to play before Denzel Hall pulls out and then comes in and puts in a performance like that. First of all, I think he was very lucky not to start because he was excellent against Northampton. I would have 100% started him. But then he comes in and plays like that. He makes himself almost undroppable because it was excellent when he kind of sat deeper with Dan Gore. And then when we had the changes, he went further forward to kind of play just behind the striker. It was even better. Keane Spence's, that kid's got something that suits Rotherham United, I think.
Yeah, it's been mentioned, hasn't it? Like a Frecklinton type player where he can break the lines, he can get forward, he covers the ground. And I think just on yesterday's performance, he's probably just edged in front of McWilliams at getting picked. It'd be interesting at Barnsley whether he probably will start at Barnsley, I would think, on that showing yesterday. He probably weren't my man at match. As I said, I've already mentioned Jules, Baptiste and Rafferty, probably Jules for me. But certainly had a very, very good game. And like we've already said, midfield's looking pretty decent,
Yeah, it is absolutely. Phil says he thinks Rafferty had a captain's performance as well. Harry said I saw somebody compare him to Rathbone, Sam, and I do see the Rathbone. And again, we're very early days with Keane Spence, but Keane Spence is better on the ball than Rathbone. Rathbone, it always felt manic and chaotic. And I think Spencer's got that in his game a little bit, but every time I see him on the ball, he's got that Dan Gore about him. He's got that silk about him and that confidence about him. He is much closer to Frecklinton than he is to a Rathbone, for me. And that's what we've been missing since Barlas left, maybe after that, maybe a little bit. We've missed a player like that.
I think I said on one other podcast, when I watched him at Sheffield United in pre-season, he was probably best player on pitch. I do get the comparison because he does do a bit of ratting around. He can nick ball. He does the ugly stuff as well. Breaks up play, gets hold of ball, and he's got a long shot in him like Rathbone as well. But he's also got the deliveries. That corner that he took. All it needed was a slight contact on it. It would have gone in because he put that much power on it. All it needed was a little tap, but unlucky no one got onto it. But yeah, he's got a bit of a mixture between Frecklinton and Rathbone. He could do it all, really. Maybe not up to the same standards in terms of what they did individually, but an all-rounder is someone that's important, really. And I'd start him against Barnsley, especially even if it's just breaking up the play. Even that, it's important.
Yeah. We'll obviously talk about this next episode, but Williams has been off it for 2 games at least, and Spencer's coming in. Spence couldn't have done much more in these 3 games, in the Oldham, Northampton, and whoever we played yesterday, Leighton Orient. They couldn't have done much more. The corners you mentioned, I said to Mick, they remind me a bit of Cafu's. When Cafu's were very, very good. When they were good, that's how good Cafu's could be. That Spence seems to be better than that. A few people mentioned Zach Jules, Mick, and I think Paul Davis gave him a 9 out of 10 on his ratings. We've been crying out, 11 games in, whatever it is, we've been crying out for Zach Jules to actually turn up and play. Mate, he turned up and played yesterday. He is the guy we've been skewing and shouting for. And it kind of takes away my fears of the non-Tom Holmes issue at the minute. Because if that's what Zach Jules is going to play like, and he did play like last year, we'll be fine until Tom Holmes comes back. He just needs to find that consistency, because excellent yesterday. Almost faultless.
It's been a terrible start to the season for him. For one reason or another, he's had an injury. I think he didn't play for a while, did he? And then when he's come back, he's played like he lacked confidence, or lacked fitness, or lacked a bit of both. He was head and shoulders my man of the match yesterday. I thought I don't think he put a foot wrong all game. He commanded that back line. He was in the middle there, and he was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding, and we know what he's capable of. And he's got more in his locker. We know that he can move upfield with the ball as well. He can play a decent pass. He's got those in his locker as well. And hopefully that performance yesterday is going to give him the confidence now to kick on, because he is a very, very, very good League One central defender. And I would argue when he's playing at his best, he's probably a bit too good for this division. He's a very, very good player. So he's been out of touch. He's had his critics. Yesterday proved that he's got it back again. Man at match for me by head and shoulders. And I know there were some good performances, Dan Gore and Rafferty and so on. I accept that, but for me, I think probably because of his return to form, I think that might have an impact on my view a little bit. But I thought it was brilliant.
I think again, you've probably got to praise Amshaw, because when Agbiri and Baptiste played against Bradford, you've got 2 young lads together. Probably Amshaw realised at that time you're probably going to struggle to play 2 young ones together on their own. You need an older head at side of him, and Jules was that person. And he's probably give Jules that responsibility, saying, look, I want you to show him diddle dirt. And he's stood up to it. He's like I said, he had a tremendous game yesterday, real led by example. And it's going to be hard for Amshaw, because Agbiri's going to be back, Raggett's back, but at minute you can't probably drop Jules or Baptiste.
No.
They've got the shirt for me at the minute.
I agree, and Rafferty as well. Rafferty has been excellent. I've always been a bit unsure in that position for Rafferty, but his last 3 or 4 games, he's been excellent when he's played there.
With Joe Rafferty, I wouldn't have any major issues in putting him back to right wing back. I know he's not got a massive amount of pace, however, he's got a wicked delivery, and he can get up and down pitch well enough in this league, And if you've got Lenny and Zach Jules and Baptiste as a back 3, I think that's a very, very strong back 3. So yeah, let's wait and see. There's going to be some other injuries, isn't there? So that's just it's just an ideal world.
Braggett's played his game. We've seen him. Now it's off.
Roundwood's coming back for him. You've had your time.
Yeah. Let's kind of finish on Matt Amshaw, Sam. He was one of the victims of the illness yesterday, running down the tunnel on 80th minute to throw up, and then to run back up. Again, let's not get carried away, but at the same time, how much credit does Amshaw deserve? We have basically criticised him in the past for being too stubborn and not being flexible enough, so other people have gone much further than that. But he's kind of quieting down the haters for now, because he has stuck to his guns. And it's paying off.
You've put me in firing line, haven't you? Big time. Yeah, like we've said, I know we get stick for it, and we didn't want him gone and X, Y, and Z. As a young manager, it's his first job. And a bit like what we said about Lenny and Baptiste, like against Bradford, he needs them games to learn. He knew straight after that one. I wouldn't have maybe experimented with 2 young centre-backs at top of league, maybe. But at least he knew. He's a bit rigid sometimes with formation. And it does pain a lot of fans. But you've got to admire, it's gelled. He's so far, he's true to his word in terms of, test me when I've got all my players back and the players have gelled and whatnot. Yeah, I'd love it. I'm glad no one sacked him when people were calling for it. We end up like Nottingham Forest now. After that, how many games we're and
yeah, no, exactly. Go on, John.
Sorry, you're never going to please everybody. I think Amshaw deserves a lot of credit because I think I said to you, Matt, a couple of weeks ago, he looked a bit of a forlorn figure in that technical area, and we thought we agreed that it was probably too emotionally invested with his dad being a Rotherham fan and his family being Rotherham fans. But I think if you notice, Tong, Richard Wood are engaging more now in the technical area. If you keep your eye on them, before they were sort of staying back, but now I think Amshaw said to him, come on, get up there, give me your thoughts or whatever. So it's always going to be a 4 coaching staff. It's never, if you listen to Warm, it's never about one person. It's a team. And I think Amshaw, pennies dropped a little bit with that he's not putting too much on his own shoulders. He's sharing it out a bit more. It's a team that's going to make this a success. It's not one person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely is. I wonder, every team has these moments where things click and things change. Again, let's not get carried away, Mick, but I wonder how important that Oldham game, that half-time against Oldham is. You listed Dale Tong after the game. He won the game 3-2 and he was basically furious still about how the first half went down. He then made those changes with the senior guys coming on. And, 2.5 games later, we're sitting here having 2 fantastic performances and we've kind of had a reaction. I wonder how important that first half will be in terms of Matt Amshaw, not it clicking because it wasn't terrible before then, but just taking himself to maybe half the next level kind of thing, if that kind of makes sense.
You're always going to have turning points in a season, and there's going to be more than one turning point in a season. There are always going to be points at which, as a management team, they're able to change things around and make it kick on using previous examples of the way that the players have played. And maybe that Oldham game was one of the first turning points of the season. Who knows? The criticism of Matt Amshaw has been ridiculous on social media, and it has been utterly ridiculous, and it's been done for clicks, hasn't it? It's not been done with any thought or any common sense or any evidence behind it. He's a brand new manager, but a brand new manager who's got thousands of hours worth of experience more than anybody that's commenting on it, including us. So he knows what he's doing. And it was always going to come right, and it was going to come right because of the quality of the players that he's got in that squad. It was just a question of finding the right mix and finding the right setup and finding the right and just tuning the tactics essentially. So for me, yeah, he deserves credit. Absolutely, he does, and he deserves credit for sticking to his guns, despite the criticism that he's been given. The vast majority of which was unjustified in my view. And I think we said that on here anyway. And he'll kick on again. The team will kick on again. And then we'll get to January. We'll get a few more there'll be some new faces come in, a few faces go out, and we'll kick on again. And that's, and in between times, we'll have some downs, like John said earlier on, because that's how football works. And in the down times, the critics will still be the critics. The critics will still want him out. As soon as we lose a game, if we go to Barnsley on Saturday and lose 1-0, then they'll be calling for his head against some people. that's just how social media is, isn't it, at the moment? Until people start thinking about what they're saying. So he deserves credit for what he's done, for what he's doing, sticking to his guns. He doesn't deserve the criticism when we lose necessarily, or as bad as it gets anyway. But hopefully we've reached that point where things are now starting to improve, and we will be able to kick on. So, you know, it's looking up. We're looking upwards in terms of prospects for performances and everything else. Whether we're looking upwards in the league is another matter, but it's starting to come together a little bit, and you can start to see the plan, see the style of play, see what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
which is more than can be said for a few previous regimes, not just the last one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil said he needs to be strong in his beliefs, and he fails. It's better to lose your job trying to implement your own way than trying to placate the crowd, which is 100%. What he's done. It's what he's done. Whether you like that or not, that's what he's done.
And then, with the greatest of respect to all of us and everybody who comments on it, not just on here, not trying to placate the crowd that don't know what they're talking about, because we don't. We're football supporters. We want to win. We want to see how to, but we do not know how to coach a football team at football league level. We have no idea. So, you know, he knows what he's doing. He might get it wrong. A lot of them do, but he's far better qualified to do it than we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flip that, Matt. Flip that.
Absolutely. Right, before we wrap up, just let me know there's a change of schedule this week. We have something on Thursday, possibly. So we can't record live on Thursday evening. So we're going to move it a day early and record live on Wednesday evening. So your Barnsley preview will be a day early. And there may well be an extra bonus episode for you on Friday. But that's not confirmed. Keep your eyes peeled on the social medias for that. Is there anything else you boys want to mention before we go?
I don't think so.
No.
Perfect.
My prediction were a bit ropey.
What did you go for?
4-2 to us.
I went for 3-2. We all went for big goal.
Yeah.
You always blame though, don't you? It's this Steve from the Orient Outlook. He promised us goals. He told us there'd be goals. So if you're watching, it's your fault, mate. None of us got right prediction. I'm sure that's not the most thing that's upset you most this weekend. Bear in mind the result yesterday, but still, it's your fault. Right, let's knock it ahead. Thank you all for being with us. Now, as I said, the subscribers have keeps piling up over the last couple of weeks, so please make sure you subscribe. I'm now looking at 2,000 before Christmas as realistic. 66 more needed before we start recording.
Do we get a prize if we get to 2,000?
No. It's literally pointless, but it's just something good to aim for.
Yeah.
Danny gets a punishment rather than a prize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We get to do something to Danny, which
Sounds
win-win. Win-win. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't done so already. Like I said, we're back Wednesday. Keep an eye on the socials because we may need some help for something coming up in the next few days. But we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Time and everything else forgiving. If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, please make sure you subscribe, 5-star rating, whatever it is that allows you to do. And thank you all for watching. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, John. Thank you, Sam. It's always a pleasure to talk about Rotherham United winning. We will see everybody next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Here comes for more.
2 for Jensen, 2 for Rotherham.
Shoots.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant. The sweetest feeling for Rotherham United.
What's got round the back? And Richard Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favor, drop me off in